Welcome to ecotopiaU Media. I am Melissa McGinnis, your host. I'm joined by my co-host, Tom Wright. Tom, we're going to do some myth busting right now, right?
I don't know if it's myth busting, but we're going to kind of talk through some issues.
Well, we just got off Skype call with Conrad McCarran. And he was telling us about, we're seeing more and more of these types of containers being produced here in the U.S. with kind of the theory of them being recyclable. But the truth is there infrastructure to actually recycle containers like this? We know that there's barely infrastructure to recycle plastic bottles. But is there something set up to where we could actually handle
just so
this?
The audience understand, this is a clamshell. This is a clamshell, and so it's the first thing that's interesting about what Conrad was alluding to was that this is PET, number one, plastic, and this is made 100% recycled content, or so they claim, and the PET from this is mainly from plastic bottles, from water bottles and soda bottles. That's good because that's recycling that, but it's made into a clamshell. Now, again, I'm not a polymer scientist, but my understanding, because I've asked pretty much the same question you've asked at recycling centers, can the clamshell go with the bottle again? In other words, the thing this was made from, can it go back in the same stream with the other bottles?
Right.
And the answer, I'm told, is no. That this is a different type of PET, slightly different. It has a different melt point than the bottle PET, and I think that this one actually melts sooner. So in other words, it harms it would contaminate the bottle stream. Now, could clamshell PET be its own stream? Is that what you're sort of asking?
Yeah, could it be its own stream? One, do we have enough resources to separate this stream from a plastic bottle stream and actually have continuous recycling?
You frame the question very appropriately, and probably the simple answer is no, we don't.
Not to mention, you told me earlier that if your plastic is a tinted color, it's already contaminated.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no way to naturally precipitate, that means to draw out the color from the PET. The colorant itself is not PET. So if you want to get to PET only, somehow you'd have to precipitate out the green in this, and my understanding is that it's very difficult to do. And in the science of this, it would be nice if that was true and it was designed to do that, but it's not.
Well, my question goes back to what you said earlier. If they're claiming that this is recycled content,
yes, it
would have to come from its own stream, and there isn't its own stream set up. Therefore, how could this be recycled?
Well, especially 100%. I get your point. That it could be 99% recycled bottles, but there's something else they added to it so it could be a clamshell. So it'd have a different property than the bottle PET.
And just kind of in thinking about just sustainability, do we really want to even promote more packaging that involves plastic? I mean, even though they claim that it's recycled content, don't we want to start thinking about packaging a little bit differently?
You're going to want to talk to Conrad more, I can tell.
I think so. This box we've talked about a little bit is lined with a polymer. This is actually lined
with polyethylene, yes.
So this is plastic lined.
Yeah.
And in some cases we're told that this is compostable, but in fact it's not.
Well, it's certainly not certified compostable because the polyethylene would never pass. The polyethylene it's a petroleum product, and it would not integrate in the soil. In other words, the microbes in the soil will not chew up the polyethylene, so it disappears.
Is it recyclable?
Yes. Yeah, it's possible to recycle fiber and polyethylene.
What if there was food contaminated?
No, that's not good then. And then it should be.
So it's recyclable not being used, but if you're actually going to put food in it and use it, it's not recyclable. This actually goes into the trash.
Correct.
So some myths that we're busting today. How important is it for us to be starting to think about where our packaging is coming from? And are there options that aren't either of these options that are natural fiber-based options?
There is. I was in Europe recently in February, and I did see this type of a product in which this liner was made out of a biopolymer that was certified compostable. Now, my understanding is, let's say that this costs a dime. My understanding is that costs like 13 cents. So it's like for a 30% premium, you could get the special compostable polymer lining. Now, why is there a plastic liner in this food packaging? Because it's grease and water resistant to a certain extent, so that if you put something that had any content of something that was fried or something that was somewhat wet, it wouldn't soak through. This prevents the fiber from being hydrophilic, which means attracting the water. So it's a hydrophobic, pushes away the water material against, this is fiber, just so everybody understands, this is tree fiber, this one is. But
well, that, I mean, just tree fiber, is that something we should be?
I think fiber is fascinating in itself, to just realize that there's a lot more than possibility than tree fiber.
I mean, there's wheat fiber. We're seeing recycled wheat, or wheat from, wheat industrial industry going into packaging.
Yeah, wheat fiber plates, you'll see those. You can find those in stores.
In your opinion, do you think that's the best case scenario in terms of choosing something that you're going to use for food that could go back into the planet, something that comes from the planet?
I've been sort of a believer that because of food contamination with food service items, I do think that if it trended towards compostability and they stayed in a compostable stream, that does, in a closed loop sense, it does make more common sense. Yeah, it just, because then you don't have to rinse it out.
There's no contamination problems. It goes right back into.
Everything's biological.
It's a closed loop circle.
Yeah.
It's cradle to cradle.
It's cradle to cradle. That's correct.
All right. Well, thank you for busting these myths. Can I start over? Thank you for busting these myths today, Tom. And we always learn so much when we're with you. So thank you.
Well, thanks.